So, God, anything outside of your will, I pray, oh God, that it don't come to pass. And I pray, oh God, that the things that you want done here in Montgomery, that we will agree and that we will adhere, oh God. I thank you for this. I thank you for the police officers and the fire department, oh God. I thank you for everyone who served, the churches, the pastors, the schools, oh God. I pray that you bless us in our efforts. God, we just honor you and we thank you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Council, need a motion on the work session minutes for June the 20th.
President, move to adopt.
Have a motion to adopt. All in favor, raise your hand.
8 with 1 abstention.
Need a motion on the regular council minutes for the June 20th meeting.
Mr. President, move to adopt.
Have a motion to adopt. All in favor, raise your hand.
8 with 1 abstention.
All right. Mr. Mayor, you're up.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening to the council and everyone who's come out City Hall this evening, as well as those that are viewing online. We hope that everyone had a happy and safe 4th of July. And that's where we're going to start our brief mayor's message today. And we'll ask that we just kind of take a look at some of the recap that we have from thank everybody who had something to do with that from all of our various departments around the city. We certainly want to thank all of you that were able to make it out. So many members of the public for coming out to support 4th of July and the fireworks that we had going on. Again, between that and the biscuits the night before, you had a great couple of nights of fireworks, and that was before the weather got too bad. So for all of the city employees that were involved in that, all the artists, thank you for putting on such a great show for the community, and we're glad of the feedback that we're getting from the city as well. Now, as we speak to the 4th of July, we want to talk about public safety. Normally, you know, there's a lot of concern about celebratory gunfire. I want to commend Chief Darrell Albert and the Montgomery Police Department for being very proactive and getting the message out and being consistent. I want to thank all of you on the council for using your platforms as well to share with the community the celebratory gunfire along with fireworks, not legal inside the city limits. Not everybody listened, including my neighbor a block up, but they got a little knock on the door as well. So, but we are glad to see the celebratory gunfire go down from 61 to 38 with a 37% decrease. Again, I think that the public awareness and the proactive approach by PD had a great impact on this, and certainly want to thank all those community groups for helping us as well, neighborhood associations and churches and the like. Next slide, please. Just going to talk overall. We'd like to look at things from our side, kind of week to week, month to month. This kind of lets us take a look at things at a halfway point of this year. Violent crime is down 10%. Part 1 crime is down 2%. Overall crime down 3.6%. That's negligible, in particular when you look at what we're losing now in terms of gun arrests. 90 cases of gun arrests we are not able to make because of the permitless carry bills, and we're certainly dismayed by the non-fatal shootings that are up 40%. That's a major issue, and it's just something that we're continuing to try to work with our community leaders on to gain feedback, as well as other stakeholders in the community, to see how we can do more around conflict resolution and do more around making this public health issue for our community. Too many disputes are being settled with a shooting, and there's no getting around that. That said, we do want to again commend our police department for their homicide clearance rate, 62%. That entails great work by the police department, but also great cooperation by our community and working with them, and we thank the community for that. The national average, as you see, is at 40%, and we're seeing more arrests. So we know our men and women in blue are getting out there and they're arresting more people and doing everything they can to keep those violent offenders off the street, as well as make sure that those that are even in the area around theft are being addressed as well. And we see the number of traffic citations with 900 speeding citations being issued. Again, this is a halfway point for this year. So we'll continue to press forward, in particular on the traffic piece. There'll be some things that, some new wrinkles that you'll start to see this month as we try to keep everybody on their toes as it relates to traffic and speeding, particularly in neighborhoods, whether it's West Montgomery or East Montgomery. We're hearing those complaints, and we're trying to get our arms wrapped around that. And again, just trying to change up the strategy a little bit. And Chief and I have had some good conversations that I think will result in positive impact there, in slowing people down and making sure that they're abiding by our traffic laws.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
can I know our police department doing a great job of arresting people, but if the county court system do anything about putting them in jail, that really makes everybody look bad. But the court system not doing their job, it doesn't matter what our police officers are doing. They're sitting there arresting the same person over and over and over, and it's just, we got to get something done over there. And I know it's not our job, but the people of Montgomery need to know where the real problem's at, you know?
I appreciate that. You and I on the same page, and had a productive conversation with our district attorney, Darrell Bailey, on last Thursday about this very issue. There still are challenges. We voiced that before to the courts, and it's not, some say, well, we were pointing the finger. It's not, no one's pointing the finger. We're just at the court system. We're just saying we all have to work hard, I think, to still make up ground on some of those cases. And you're right. I think that there are people who are getting out that should not be getting out. I think that the legislature, again, can help us somewhat in terms of the cash bail system. We need assistance there. And our police department, they're doing a great job, and the community is doing a great job, only to see some of these folks back out. So I agree, and it's almost like you in that conversation that the district attorney and I were having last week. I think there is more that can be done, and I think there's more that the community can assist us in bringing forth some of the pressure. You all get the calls, we get the calls. The other branches of government don't seem to get those calls about these issues, and we are doing great work in working with our community partners and doing the work from the police department to try to put away the bad guys. And I want to go a step further, Mr. President, if you'll allow me, even as it relates to shoplifting. I was informed in the last 2 weeks of a major retailer that is thinking about closing down, as I was watching that report, because they're thinking about closing because of shrinkage and theft. And that is something serious, that when you already don't have the amount of retailers that the market can absorb, we got to do a better job there. And when these folks catch them, we got to make sure that we get the cooperation from the retailers themselves as well as from our court system. So we're working very hard to try to make sure that they understand where we are in terms of them being a priority, their profitability being a priority, and that we don't want their associates getting into it with anyone over theft. We understand that, but we don't want another major retailer, leaving the market either. So we've got work to do, and I think our courts can help us a little bit more if they're a little bit more active than maybe what we've seen. So I appreciate you bringing that point up. If we will, I think the next slide is related to something a little bit more positive on the high-speed internet, a broadband public input study. And this is just kind of to give an update on those that are wondering what's happening with our partnership with the county. We've got the residents have received a public input survey by mail. This is going to help us connect every home and small business to high-speed and reliable internet service. Bridging the digital divide was something that all of us agreed was a priority, and it was something that the public thought was a priority. And so this is one of the projects that we're working on right now. And so, it's one of those things that takes a little bit of time, but it's something we want to make sure we're updating the community on how those dollars are being invested and what the meetings are bringing about. Now, we'll go to the next slide. We want to make sure that the council and the community knows about the 75th anniversary of the Freedom to Serve. We'll be hosting a welcome reception commemorating the Executive Order 9981, integrating the armed services in the United States. We always have a lot of veterans here with us in the audience, and those that are part of the administration and city. We thank them for certainly their service, and this was something that Colonel Aries Minster brought up prior to her being reassigned and leaving post here at Maxwell Air Force Base. And we thought it was a great way to invite senior leaders in the Air Force as well as from around this community to observe this day on Tuesday, July 25th at 7 p.m. Now, I'll get right into the finance update, and then I'll be done. I have slides that will reflect how the revenue streams are trending in the city for sales and use tax, lodging tax, gasoline tax, and alcoholic beverage tax. Sales and use tax still has a positive growth rate year over year. Revenue from sales and use taxes increased for the month of June slightly more than 4% above the same period of the prior fiscal year. And overall, sales and use tax revenue continues to come in at nearly 6% year over year. And although the cost of many goods are more expensive now than they were in the previous year, the increased growth in sales and use tax revenue is an indicator that citizens are continuing to spend at local grocery markets, restaurants, and athletic venues. These are the sectors where most of the growth has occurred. Next slide. Lodging tax revenue declined nearly 8% in June compared to made in the current year. This revenue source for the current year compared to June of FY 2022 had a significant growth rate of more than 18%. I believe we're still poised to see lodging tax revenue remain at a double-digit percent at fiscal year end due to the opening of new venues and conferences convening in our city. Next slide. The gasoline tax has not rebounded as expected because of lower prices at the pumps compared to the previous year. Consequently, the result is that taxpayers are reporting lower collections in June. The lower gas prices are good for our citizens, and it does allow people to travel more. This revenue source has had a negative growth rate of more than 4% in June, and year over year, the gasoline tax revenue is barely breaking even, or approximately $17,000 less than the same period in FY 2022. So again, not a big number there, but still a slightly negative number when it comes to the gasoline tax. This is the final slide. The alcoholic beverage tax has had a negative growth rate for the month of June compared to the same period over the previous year. The negative growth rate did decline significantly compared to May of the current fiscal year. Contributing factors are that some taxpayers reported less in collections and some had not remitted any collections by June 30th. Overall, year over year, the alcoholic beverage tax revenue has a negative growth rate of more than 6%. The year-end projections for revenue and expenditures will be available at the next council meeting on July the 18th. Mr. President, that concludes my message, and I thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay. Any special committee reports?
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
before we get the meeting started, I lost one of my residents. He was a police officer, Officer Carlos Taylor. If we don't mind, can we have a moment of silence for Officer Taylor, please? Thank you. Yes, sir. Coming out of the report, we talked about the event centers and rental halls, and that recommendation that all rental event centers and rental hall must require an ABC license. I do want to have an open meeting, Mr. President, before we actually put that ordinance into effect. So I would like to have an open meeting so we can discuss it with the public.
Okay.
On the next council meeting.
All right. Very good.
So you're wanting to have a public hearing? Is
Yes.
that what you're wanting to have?
Yes, ma'am, like we did the citizen review?
Do you want me to advertise a public hearing?
Yes, we can. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let's go into the meeting this time. Item number 1.
Mr. President, item 1, review of Sherwood Apartments, 4921 Hatton Avenue.
Is anybody here from Sherwood?
I don't see anybody signed up for that. Nobody's on the agenda.
Is Williams alone with us today? Are they set up on Star Watch?
Yes, ma'am. They have ordered the equipment necessary to get the integration complete, so they have done what we asked them to do from our end. They have purchased the package necessary to get all their cameras on Star Watch.
And how long do you know maybe how long it might take for them to get them?
Yes, ma'am. We called Fuses around lunchtime today. They said it should ship first part of next week.
Okay. So in 2 weeks, they should definitely have it.
Yes, ma'am. And we'll physically go out there and make sure everything's done correctly.
Okay. I did receive a phone call for the record from the attorney that he would be out of town, but I thought that he would send his client. But to know that they're on track with Star Watch, I feel hopeful that we're moving in the right direction. Can we have them come back in 2 weeks? Will we send a notice and let them know just in case?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Item number 2.
Ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances, Section 16-78, restrictions on transfer of licenses.
Ms. Mitchell?
I was hoping that Stacy would be here. It was some questions that we had about the 5 days. Stacy said she believed that it was already a ordinance, but when I talked to, I think it was Revenue and License, they could not find one, and I was waiting on a response or answer.
I'm sorry, Councilman Mitchell, that I'm not aware of the situation. I can try to get you an answer though tomorrow. I apologize.
Yes, Ms. Blaylock, can we just carry this over, please?
Yes, sir. Item number 3, application for retail beer and retail table wine off premises only, doing business as Dollar General Store at 5090 Virginia Loop Road.
Representative Dollar General here, please. Yes, ma'am.
Hello.
Your name for the record, please.
Angela Sankey. Angela Sankey.
Okay, Angela. We had several people wanting to talk. Ms. Alkin, do you want to talk about this? Yeah. Angela.
Do you want me to time, Mr. President?
Huh?
Do you want me to time?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, time, please. Yes, please.
Good evening. My name is Angela Exford. I'm the South Montgomery Neighborhood Alliance president. I represent all the neighborhoods on the south side. I'm here in reference to the request for beer and wine. We have several already in that area less than a mile away. That particular area in our on our side of town is very tranquil back there. It's going into the rural side, and we don't need any more. There, you can walk to just up the road. There's several up the road on Virginia Loop Road. Down the other side of Narrow Lane Road, when you leave McInnes Road going around that curve, there's one there. And if you go up the street, there's another Family Dollar, Dollar General. All of those are up on that particular road. And just meeting and talking with our neighborhoods, with our 20-plus neighborhoods, all neighborhoods on south side are opposing this. When Dollar General came in, we looked at convenience and possible fresh fruit, fresh vegetables and those type of items. Why not bring those to our neighborhoods? Bring some additional retail businesses to our neighborhood. Why additional beer and wine? We've had enough. As Ms. Graham spoke a couple of years ago about all these beer and wines and liquor stores on corners all throughout our neighborhoods where we're majority black neighborhoods, we've had enough. We don't want to see anymore. All the drinking, all the violent behaviors has gotten out of control. We want to see more for South Montgomery, and we're working together to improve South Montgomery. I don't have anything against these corporate giants, but the corporate giants need to come to the neighborhoods and talk with the citizens to see what we want to see instead of flooding our neighborhoods with beer and wine. We've had enough. I hope that all of you will take this to heart and think about your family and where you live. You don't want all of them on each corner in your neighborhood as well. So we are at the mercy of the city council men and women to stand with us as our 20 neighborhoods stand together. If our representatives from Southside, if you will all stand up, please. South neighborhoods, please stand. I brought some presidents from the South Alliance. We are united. We will stand together, and we don't want any more.
All right. No. Go ahead. No outburst. All right, Council.
State your name again for me.
Okay. My name is Angela Sankey. I'm completely unprepared for this. But I do live.
Yeah, pull your mic. Are you the current manager there?
I'm the current store manager at that Dollar General. I just currently took the job.
How long you been there?
Ago. Probably a couple days ago. I currently took the job. I do live on the south side of Montgomery in the neighborhood. I live like right down the street from that Dollar General. I don't really see an issue. Well, I see her understanding, but with me living in that area, I don't think that having that Dollar General sell alcohol is bringing crime to that area.
But question for you. You guys have already made a makeshift. It's only one way in and one way out, correct?
No, it's not. As I took over, I made sure that all exits are clear.
But before you got there, it was only...
Before I got there was one way in, one way out. And from my understanding, the previous store manager told me that one of the city councilmen came and told her to do that. But
Since I've been there, all exits are free and clear. You can walk in and out of that store as freely as you want, so there's no one way in, one way out.
And she did that, but due to theft, right?
That's what she said.
Yeah, it was a lot of theft there.
Since I've been there, it's a lot of theft everywhere. It's not just Dollar General. It's like everywhere you go, so we can't just label it to Dollar General. And I didn't have too many incidents at that store since I've been there. So I just don't think that Dollar General is creating an issue. If anything, they're breaking more stores. Like I said, I'm unprepared. If anything, in the neighborhood, they're helping the residents. They're bringing more to the neighborhood by them not being able to have to go into the big stores like Walmart. They can get off work, come and get what they need, and they don't have to stand in a long line of wait.
Yeah, I do agree when it comes to groceries.
Yeah,
I do agree that we do have a food desert, but we do not have a alcohol desert in that area. So, council, with that being said, I have watched us make these mom and pops go to the neighborhood association. I have watched us deny these mom and pops, but when it comes to our big box stores, we just pass them on, and we don't consider the same thing we consider with small business. So that being said, I'm going to ask the council what we haven't done before. I'm going to ask the council that we deny this motion for approving them for a beer and wine.
I have a motion to deny. All in favor, raise your hand. No, this is all business.
8. Mr. Lodge.
All right, next item.
I need, Mr. Lyons, you vote. 9.
Okay.
The motion to deny carries. Resolution is
Denied.
defeated.
Thank you. All right, next item.
4, resolution approving the critical home repair program from the Montgomery Thrive Initiative.
Need a motion to adopt this.
Motion to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted.
All right,
Item
number
5, review of Amoras Place, 2834 West Edgemont Avenue.
All right, Ms. Audrey.
That's 4.
Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
State your name for us first.
Felicia Bates.
Ms. Bates. Thank you, Ms. Bates, for being here. You're the owner, right?
No, ma'am.
You're the one that has the event center. I know you don't own the property. You're renting the property, but you manage the event center. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Ms. Bates, I have had a lot of conversation with you. Maybe one time with your husband, but I have spoken with you a couple times. I've spoken with the community on multiple occasions. I've spoken to our licensing department, and they'll come up here for a minute as well. There are a couple issues, and so I just want to talk about those tonight and tell you where we are, and if you have anything to say, absolutely, we want to hear what you have to say about it as well. The first issue is that there is no business license.
That's correct.
And after searching, there was never a business license under this name. So you're not licensed to do business in the city of Montgomery. And that's one reason why I will call the police, and I have called the police when I'm made aware that you're open. I don't know you're open until someone from the community calls me. And they will call me because I'm their representative, and they feel comfortable calling me when there's an issue. And I will call MPD because we can't just allow anybody who wants to start a business to just get a building and start operating. If that's the case, then all these other business owners, it's unfair to them that they have to go through the process and the protocol to have a business license in the city of Montgomery and operate, and then we allow some business not to. So we want to keep everybody on the same playing field. So you have to have a business license to operate in the city of Montgomery. Secondly, there is a concern from the community. It is, I have, with the conversations I've had, there are two separate opinions there. There are some people in the community who have verbalized to me they're not fighting you. They don't have a problem with what you're doing. Then I have other community members who have stated very clearly that they have a problem with what's going on. I would like to be read into the record the letter that we received. It's anonymous. We don't have a name of who wrote this letter. We're just going to read the letter. I want you to hear what was stated. If Ms. Blaylock would do that for us, please.
Yes, ma'am. Councilwoman Graham is aware of the concerns, threats, and unforeseen problems that could potentially make addressing these issues in a public forum problematic for the residents of Mobile Heights community. Numerous residents of the Mobile Heights community are requesting that District 4 Councilwoman Audrey Graham speak on their behalf at the Wednesday, July the 5th Montgomery City Council meeting. She has been apprised on a constant and continuous basis of the numerous concerns and issues that the events held at the Amoras Place Rental Hall and Event Center have presented for the residents of Mobile Heights. For more than 2 years, the same issues have been addressed in each of the monthly association meetings and reported to Councilwoman Graham, but have not been rectified with satisfactory and permanent resolve. An application for a City of Montgomery business license for Amoras Place was denied at the City of Montgomery Council meeting held on December the 7th, 2021. However, Amoras Place continues to operate defiantly without a City of Montgomery business license since that time. Amoras Place Rental Hall and Event Center is currently operating without a City of Montgomery business license per the proprietor Felicia L. Bates, and has been since November 2021. She has also stated that she intends to eventually utilize the facility as a sports bar. Selling alcoholic beverages should be prohibited in residential areas. The residents have had to contend with the Amoras Place music vibrating enough to shake fragile shelled collectibles and glassware and keep residents awake until after the event center is closed. Sound travels underground, and if loud enough, will cause vibrations from the music inside the buildings to be heard for quite a distance. Some patrons leave the entertainment center, have the music in their vehicles blasting so loud it is frightening. In addition, cups, napkins, plates, and cans have been strewn over West Edgemont and Cafe Drive. Vehicles have parked in designated no parking areas, leaving the no parking signs run over and destroyed.
Ms. Blaylock, if you'll hold on right there for me. If you would just go to the second page and read the paragraph where it speaks about MPD was called.
Yes, ma'am. MPD was called to investigate an occurrence when car alarms were going off one after the other after 11:30 p.m. Residents were too afraid to look out or go outside to check if their cars were being broken into. Vehicles attempting entrance to Mobile Heights from Mobile Highway could not enter the neighborhood because there was not enough space for vehicle access to drive into the neighborhood at West Edgemont Avenue. At times, people were also blocking and standing and twerking in the street and yelling threatening warnings. Restricted access to emergency vehicles definitely contributes to the life safety issues.
And if you'll stop right there, Ms. Blaylock, and then right there where it says there is a big thread, will you read that one paragraph and then that'll be it?
Yes,
if that's fine.
Yes, ma'am. There is a big threat in this area. Frequent reports of gunfire have been previously reported to MPD at all times of the day and night. There are still reports of gunfire, but seemingly not as many as in the past. Residents and their families should not be targeted or threatened for speaking out, harmed in any way, shot at, have property destroyed or damaged, and not feel safe in their neighborhood. It is very disrespectful to operate an establishment of this kind so close to the residents of this neighborhood.
Thank you. So, and Ms. Bates, if you'd like a copy of this to see this, you're more than welcome to have a copy of this, because I do want you to know what's being said. But at the end of the day, it's a lot going on there. In this email that was sent to us, there are threats they speak of. They feel threatened to talk about how they feel about your business operating. And I know when you rent out the event center, you may be there or may not be there. I know we've had that incident before. And so some stuff that they may have experienced you weren't aware of because you may not have been there. And so I understand that, but it's still on you as the the business owner. It's still on you to kind of oversee those, whatever they are, that's going on. So those are just some concerns that I just feel like it's going to be hard for you to overcome those type of obstacles without building a bond with that community.
That's not what I'm told when I went to the meeting.
Right.
I've had more repasses there. If they consider repasses or threats, then I don't know what to say about the community. Because I do free repasses to the whole community. And I went to both meetings with Rebusky and Ms. Graham. Neither one of them had. As far as loud music or whatever, it's not there. I cannot control the traffic coming in, what happens. of other people coming. Paper and stuff on the street, I can't control that either. They have a hotel right there where they have drug-infested prostitutes and everything. How they know it's not coming from the hotel? And I haven't had any reports. I have security. We had 8 people for security. When I did my paperwork in 2021, I did my paperwork thinking that everything was dead. Nobody ever said anything to me. I did all my stuff online. And as far as being denied any license, I never even applied for any license. Right. I went down and did my paperwork. When I did it, I got the COVID. I called down and told them that I couldn't come to the meeting because my house had the COVID. So we couldn't come. I didn't have anybody to sit down to represent. So maybe they're saying we were denied license because I couldn't come to that. I haven't finished any of the repairs on there for to redo my city part. I did the insurance like they told me online. I did the LLC and everything. Mm-hmm. So as far as that, I did all of that. Then I had to do some repairs in order to apply for license, I guess they said, or whatever I have to do. But I can't help it, people going down the street. I was only renting out 1 day a week. Mm-hmm. 1 day a week on Fridays. Mm-hmm. One of the ladies at the meeting said she was hearing loud music or whatever from Friday to Sunday. She can't go to church on Sunday because she's falling asleep in church. We're not even open on Saturdays. I can count on my hand how many rentals that I have had on a Saturday. So they must be getting me mistaken with the motorcycle club down the end of the street. The motorcycle club is closer to her than I am. I'm over 100 yards. If she step out her front door and walk on her sidewalk, she's at the motorcycle club faster than me. They're open more than I am. So 2 or 3 rentals a month is no way. I go over there on Sundays and we picked up trash and clean up stuff that I cannot control. We be out there picking up trash and cleaning up and they come down the street and still throw stuff out while you cleaning up.
Yes, ma'am.
So that I can't control, and I can't control nobody driving down the street with loud music.
Yes, ma'am. But Ms. Bates, this letter, it came to Ms. Blaylock, actually. It didn't even come to me. So somebody from the community is sending this. I've also had conversations with people from the community, and they were not in agreement with it. Yes, I have had conversations with some of the people that you just named, and they seem to not be in opposition, I'll say it that way. So there's a miscommunication there with the community. But at the end of the day, it really is the bigger good of the community that we got to serve. So where we are is you don't have a business license. That's something you've got to get done. And a event center license has to come before this council. That's just not like, I know you cater as well. So if you was getting a license to do your catering business, you just go to the business department and get that and you carry on. There is nothing special to come before us. But when you're doing an event center, it has to come before this council to be approved. And so I'm gonna be honest with you. It's gonna take that community and you coming together with me and y'all telling me that they're okay with that before I feel comfortable granting that, because even though there are a couple businesses around you, you are in that neighborhood, and having an event center in a community is just really not the best place for an event center. I understand you have been operating there, but that's not a good place. But I'm not saying, because you're not applying for a business license anyway, so it doesn't matter about that, because you got to go through that whole process. But I'm just saying you need to figure out how to get on the same accord with that community, and if not, I definitely don't see it being favorable to have a community crying out against this business like this with these type of accusations to say that they feel threatened. There's one space in there where they say when they rolled off, somebody, may have been you or your husband or somebody from your business, chased them around the community, and they was afraid. They was riding through other neighborhoods trying to get away from you. And when they was circling back toward the police, that car turned around. But that was the only way they felt safe going home. That is just absolutely not, that can't happen in any neighborhood in District 4, in any neighborhood in the city of Montgomery, that they feel threatened because they say your business is not profitable for their community. That just can't happen. So they feel that, and now we have to take that as it is, because if that's how somebody feel, they feel that way. I'm not saying you did that. I'm not saying your husband did that, but they felt that. They felt danger from coming around there trying to speak out when the police came out after one incident one night at the building. So we definitely...
I never had any incident at my building. I never had a police.
Well, it may have been just there was a lot of cars parked or the music loud and they called the police and they went around there to the building to wait for the police or something. May not have been an incident like a fight or a shooting, but it was when they called the police out to the building, one of those times. So with that said, Ms. Bates, you can't this weekend have a party.
I mean,
You
I
don't have a
understand that,
business
but
license.
who's to say that letter is true?
I mean,
I can write a letter and say the same thing about a community.
right, and I get that, who's to say that, but the people who wrote it, you know, I have to take them, you know, take this for what it is, but more importantly, even if we didn't have this, we don't have a business license. That's really our main thing. And so with that, you can't just keep operating. You know, I know they came out this past weekend, but me and you have already had a conversation that said that there's no business license there, you can't operate, but you're still operating.
No,
So
they
you
came
can't
out
do
this
that.
weekend to my husband's private birthday party. It was not open to the public, it was a private party. We were inside.
Right, well, and I know that's your building and you're renting it, so I guess you can do you an event in that building, I guess. I don't really know how that works, but because you're under that business is set up as a rental space, then anything you do in there, to us, is a rental space activity. It's not just, oh, I'm donating. So that building shouldn't be up and operating until you get a license. Only, and that's again, only if it's approved, but you really need to go through the process. Maybe you can speak with, tell me your last name again.
Bob Taylor.
Mr. Taylor, before you leave, to find out exactly what steps you need to, you know, start on. And then I really advise you to kind of get a conversation going with community. And there may be some community members in this room, but I'm not going to ask them to show themselves because I don't want them to feel threatened in any kind of way, or I don't want them to feel like something could happen to them, because that's what they're expressing to me. But either way, I think you need to definitely get on the same page with them, because right now, and I want you to have a copy of this letter, they are not on the same page with you. They are telling you that, and they may be trying to make it seem like, well, is Councilwoman Graham fighting you? But after they sent, because this letter, even at the beginning of it, insinuate that I have known about y'all operating and I haven't done anything. So they're even upset with me in this letter. So it's just a problem there. And they have had aggressive conversations with me that I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do on multiple occasions about it. So we just can't keep being there. We've got to move from this place. And at this point, it's really the community that's crying out against you. Even though there may be some people that's not, the community is, and we don't have a business license. So you have two things that you have to work on: getting your business license to see if that'll get approved, as well as trying to figure out how to connect with that community. And if that don't work, I'm just sorry, Ms. Bates, maybe there's another business you can maybe do there or something in that building, because it's yours, but just not an event center.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Do you want a copy of this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay. Next item?
Yeah, you can have this copy. Yes, ma'am.
Item 6, ordinance approving the updated downtown Montgomery action plan for the city of Montgomery.
I need a motion to suspend the rules on that item.
Motion.
Move to suspend the rule.
All in favor, raise your hand.
I didn't hear who made the motion.
Well,
Mr. President, move to
CC
suspend the
did.
rules.
Thank you.
all in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Motion
Ordinance
to
is
adopt.
All in
adopted.
favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Item number 7.
Ordinance approving the Southern Boulevard action plan for the city of Montgomery.
Need a
Motion to
suspend.
suspend the rules.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Motion to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted. Item 8, ordinance authorizing purchase and sale agreement and sale of real estate at 522 South Ripley Street to Ruby Gray.
Need a motion to suspend the rules on this.
Motion to suspend the rules.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Motion to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Ordinance is adopted. Item 9, ordinance authorizing purchase and sale agreement and sale of real estate at 1001 Adeline Street to Montgomery Housing Authority.
Need a motion to suspend the rules.
Motion to suspend the rules.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Motion to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Ordinance is adopted. Item
Okay.
10, show cause hearing on a proposed resolution revoking the business license of Budgetel Inn at 5175 Carmichael Road.
Representative of the legislature, is right? Yeah,
Mr. President,
yes, sir.
Chief Hall has a presentation he want to make before we discuss what we're going to do with this item number 10 and 11.
Okay.
Well, you have some information.
We'll have the police department first. Go ahead.
All right, thank you. I've brought up here with Major Rucker as well, but just since our last meeting with the City Council for Budgetel, we've had 42 additional calls 2 of those are subject shot. 1 of those is a subject stabbed. 1 officer needs assistance. We've had shots fired in the area. 2 additional subjects with guns. 21 investigative calls, 9 disturbance calls, and 5 other service calls. So I just want to make sure we had that, and this number's continuing to grow, and since we started getting those numbers for this back in May of 2022, we're over 500 calls to this one location. And I brought Major Rucker up here over that so he can speak up some stuff directly.
I have a question, Chief Hall, are any of those calls duplicates? Like, sometimes I know 3 or 4 people are calling about the same gunfire, or are they all individual calls?
These are all individual calls. As a matter of fact, we received some extra calls with the clientele that hangs around from that particular place. You've got some outlying areas such as Taco Bell and the Waffle House. We've had issues with individuals coming from that location, going to the next location, so they're all separate, they're not duplicates.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Chief.
Mr. Calhoun.
I guess the attorney wants to talk to us about it before we make a decision.
Yeah, tell us what you think.
Yeah, you know, when you guys was here in April, I asked that you guys come up with a plan on what you're gonna do to try to present some of these calls that we're having, because, you know, it's just like a second police headquarters with all these calls, 500 calls from the beginning of the year in the last 6 months. So, you know, what's your plan? Because this is not safe for the community when we have shots fired, and the safety and welfare of this community in those surrounding areas. So this is something that's real serious. So I want to hear what you have to say.
I'm Landy Sexton. I represent the owner, Mr. Maboo. And what we're going to, we gave you the beginning of the plan last time. Let me review what it is. He's not aware of how it could be. I mean, we are eternally grateful to the police and in no way do anything other than ever support them completely. He's aware of a couple of calls. He's not aware of calls by other people that he doesn't have control over. What he has done is, the first thing he's done, his hotel is adjacent to the Country Inn, which is closed. So it's an abandoned building right next to it. So he's contracted for a fence. He's having a fence built so that the people that are squatting in the adjacent property to him can't just walk over. It is a very not that he isn't responsible for it. It's a $35,000 improvement that he's borrowing the money from for the bank. But, hopefully that will keep people from wandering over to his property. To be fair about it, the problem that he did, the shooting that they talked about occurred on his property, but it came from people who had wandered over from the abandoned building, from the abandoned hotel next to it. The fence can prevent that, but the fence will not, I don't know how to, at some level, he can stop it from happening on his property by putting up the fence, but, that's kind of it. I mean, if they had been 4 feet to the left, they would have, they wouldn't have been on his property. So, in addition to in addition to adding the fence, so that there's only one way in and out of his property, he has added full-time security people. He's kind of done he's also made a big commitment to getting rid of all the really, the people that he knew of that were troublemakers there. He sent out notice to everybody saying, we're closed. We are closed for business until we make repairs. And he literally closed the business to try to get people out. When he closed the business, he got a whole lot of the people out. But, it's America, and folks have, you can't just go over there and grab people and drag them screaming from the rooms. So he's in the process of getting the rest of the people out of there. As far as physical, we talked about this a little bit last time too. You know, he's continuing to renovate the rooms. He's continuing to add the, you know, he's changed the locks. He's done all that. Also, as we discussed last time, he's had some policy changes in, you know, the way he practice and policy changes now the way he operates the motel. He operates the motel now. Most of the people that are now required, you know, he takes cash occasionally, but as was suggested last time, virtually everybody now uses credit cards. He has identification. He keeps copies of the identification. Nobody can stay for, you know, no short-term rentals of the room. So these policy changes that will, you know, should in time or perhaps very quickly affect the clientele and affects the people who can stay there and affects the reason why some of these troublemakers came in the first part. These policy and practice changes really ought to eliminate that problem. Additionally, I can't remember what I told you. I think I told you that he has hired full-time security. He was not able, and y'all know far more about this than I do, but he was not able to hire off-duty police officers. So instead, he has hired other full-time security. He has talked to 2 security companies, Masters, and I can't remember the name of the other one, for plans. You know, like, okay, what all do I need to do in addition to having me to advise him about these are obvious things you need to do? You know, he's paying people to come up with a plan for him. I also want to emphasize that I do think, Masters, I think one of the things that he did, that really is fully in place is he does have a adequate surveillance system, I think. I can't remember whether it was a policeman I talked to on the phone or whether these gentlemen said that, but he does have an adequate camera network system. So,
Mr. Calhoun,
Ms. Brewer?
can I ask you, Mr. Calhoun, you know the hotel that he's talking about that's abandoned? You know the hotel he's talking about that's abandoned?
Yes.
Can we call them down here and see if it's boarded up and all that good stuff as well?
I just got a text that I think that hotel is going to be demolished.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I've got a couple more questions. Major Rucker, can you reread those calls for service over the last month they were here?
Well, the 2 most important in response to what he just stated, on June 27th at 11:17 hours, 11 in the morning, we had a subject shot. June 22nd at 3:15 in the afternoon, we had a subject shot. The most recent shooting that we went to in regards to the individuals that stand at the hotel, we went up in the room where the alleged shooting occurred. We removed multiple subjects. They had multiple felony warrants, and we also moved weapons from the room.
Mr. Sexton, I got a question for you, Mr. Sexton.
Yes, sir.
Right here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I have a question. Have you ever spent the night at this hotel? I'm just curious.
No, sir, I live in Cloverdale, so I don't have the need to spend the night at that
I was
hotel.
just checking to see if you'd ever stayed.
No.
Let me ask you,
Go ahead, Mr. President.
you're telling me you got squatters in the hotel you can't get out? People there and not paying rent, they're just there and they're not leaving?
No, that's what he was acting to take care of. We discussed that in the
And
last.
that hasn't happened, you can't get them out?
I think he's got them all out.
You got them all? Okay, all right.
Mr. President.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
The problem is, you know, I hear what you're saying, you know, but in the 2 months since you've been here, we done had these problems continued. Now you're telling me you're getting people out. This should have been something done 2 months ago. You know, when we gave you the opportunity to clean it up, and we got 42 additional calls within 2 months. So the problem is not getting better, it's getting worse.
Mm-hmm.
Chief, you got something?
Yeah, I do.
You know, with those shooting incidents, we even had one incident there where security was involved in the shooting incident, you know, with a long gun. You know, it's taxing on the police department. It requires many, many man hours when we have an incident there to investigate. And I tell you, you know, it's happening in those rooms. It's not by a fence and 4 feet from the property line. It's happening in those rooms and in those hallways at that property. And I tell you, it's requiring, you know, not one police officer response, but multiple police officer responses, which takes away from other parts of the city. So I hear about all these other things that we're doing over there and that this gentleman's trying to do, but I'm gonna tell you, it's taxing on the police department, and it causes problems in other parts of the city where we can't respond as efficiently as we would like to.
We can't afford to continue to allow this to happen within the city. And then not just at the hotel, the safety of the business that's around. You know, you have the Waffle House, you have all these things. When you got shooting going on, you know, for the safety and welfare of the community, it's just not safe. And I don't see where you're doing the things that you're supposed to be doing to get this thing cleaned up. You're just hiring a security company. You know, I had people call me about people in the building. You know, the security guy OD'd on drugs. You know, he had a drug overdose. That's your security guy. So part of the problem is the people that you allow to stay there. And that's not the type of business that we want in the city of Montgomery, nor, you know, in the District 5, because it's just not safe. It's not safe. You know, people riding up and down Carmichael Road, it's not safe, you know, when you got shooting. So, you know, cleaning it up, you know, I hear what you're saying, but, I mean, I have no other choice. I'm going to recommend that we revoke the license.
Okay. You have a motion to revoke?
That's the next item. Thank you.
Resolution item 2, okay.
You've got to close the public hearing.
Okay, okay, public hearing's been held, probably for the council.
They have it, yeah.
All right. You
Number
got a motion?
11, resolution revoking the business license of Budgetel Inn, 5175 Carmichael Road.
Okay.
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
I move to revoke the license on number
Suspend
11.
rules.
Suspend the rules.
Motion to suspend the rules.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Motion to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted.
License revoked.
License
Okay?
revoked.
All right, thank you.
Item 12, application for an alternative transportation service doing business as the
Mr. Howard, you here?
LLC, 120 Middle Court.
Mr. President, Mr. President,
Hang on a minute. Mr. Howard, keep going up. Yes.
real quick, Mayor, since the license has been revoked, and I know we have to give ample time, but over the next week, 2 weeks, what do we do if there's individuals that, similar to this apartment complex, what do we do if we're still getting 15, 20 calls because they're still hanging out in that hotel? What do we do from there?
Well, we'll respond to the calls, obviously, but, you know, with the action that the council just took, which I agree with 100%, you know, that notice will go out that this place will not be able to operate as a business. And right away, people should start making other arrangements if they have been, you know, living there temporarily for an extended stay. But we will certainly still respond to this business if there are calls tonight, if there are calls tomorrow, so we get it closed down.
Is there anything, I guess maybe for our attorney, if he continues to allow people to come to that hotel, if he doesn't check up and continues to operate?
I was just attempting to look up procedures, say now that the license has been revoked. I just sent an email just shortly to President Jenright and President Pro Tem Calhoun. Operating the business without a license is a crime, shall we say, punishable by $500 fine.
Misdemeanor?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And a willful violation, say he goes in once and he gets the $500 fine, if he continues to operate without the license, he's subject to a term of imprisonment up to 6 months.
Okay.
And that's in the municipal code. Now, in terms of the time that you were referring to, I was just trying to look that up as we sat here. I'll try to get back to you.
Well,
Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Rand, before we move on, the young lady just left out of here. That's one of those, you know, businesses where they just continue to operate.
That's correct.
Even though they don't have a business license. So what's the procedure to start that against them?
Well, my quick read was that the revenue administrator, you know, it has the authority to bring an action, shall we say.
Okay.
That's my quick read. That they would have the authority to bring the action either by virtue of a deposition filed in the municipal court, or perhaps in a civil action could be commenced in district or circuit court. I'm not sure which yet. But
Okay, so I need to get with Mr. Taylor or either Ms. Comer about that at another time.
See what, that'd be great.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Howard, now we're to you. Okay?
All right. Good evening.
Tell us what you-
My name is Patrick Howard.
Tell us what your business is.
I'm sorry.
Tell us about your business, please.
It's an alternative transportation company for basically anybody, senior citizens, and within the city of Montgomery. It's right now we started with one car, just taking people from point A to point B.
Okay.
Looking forward to
Handicap or just regular?
regular right now.
Okay, all right. Council, need a motion?
Ready to move to suspend the rules?
Everybody suspend the rules, all in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Move to adopt.
Motion to adopt, all in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted.
Good luck with your business, sir.
All right, thank you.
Item 13, application for a lounge retail liquor Class 2 package license doing business as Old Selma Road Package Store at 6200 Old Selma Road.
Okay, this is representative of the Old Summer Road Package Store, please. Yeah, we got a bunch. This is a public hearing. We've got several people signed up to speak. Mr. Fitz, let's see, Mr. Ward, Ms. Ward, Cherry. Who wants to speak to represent the community, please? One person maybe to speak for the community. All of you here for this issue, please step forward.
How do you want me to time this, Mr. President?
Yeah, we'll give 3 minutes to the, I think that we only got some applications from one group here. Please let these people talk and then we'll okay. Please come forward. And this, Mr. Pitts, that's it.
My name is Bert Pitts, and I've lived in this community where this application is being made for almost 40 years. Mr. Mayor, Chairman, Jen Wright, members of the council, I thank you for allowing me to express my opposition to this request for this license on behalf of the Old Summer Road Package Store. Back in 2018, a similar request was made for a license to sell retail liquor at Larry's Trading Post, which failed. I see that some of the members here on this council have changed since 2018, but the desire of our community to deny this request has not changed. Since it's been almost 5 years since we last discussed this other application, I'd like to remind you of some of the particulars as to why we do not want a liquor sold in our community. Where this request is being made in our community, there are 2 retail businesses in comparison to hundreds of households. There are also 4 churches on the road where this request is being made, 2 within 3/10 of a mile of its location. Our community is not a business district, but primarily a residential district, a rural community where a family can raise their children without the fast-paced lifestyle that comes from living within the city. I acknowledge that there are other retailers, B&J Petroleum and Dollar General, which offer beer for sale. However, the alcohol content of beer is generally 4 to 6%, while hard liquor is 40%. The sheriff and the police departments both acknowledge that there is a drug problem in a portion of our community, and we don't need to increase the issues that they deal with by making hard liquor readily available as well. I've contacted Sheriff Cunningham, and he once again disapproves of a liquor store in our community. Mr. Kahn, the owner making this request, does not live in our community. Once he goes home for the day, he won't have to deal with the possible outcomes of what he has sold. If someone wishes to purchase hard liquor, let them go to the business district of Montgomery and not a few hundred feet from the entrance of the subdivision. Keep in mind that if this is approved, once again we're setting a precedence for other neighborhoods in Montgomery. I ask that you once again acknowledge the desire of the residents in our community and deny this request.
Very good.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Thank you.
Ms. Ward, you opposed to it?
Yes, I'm Anita Ward. I live in the Selbrook community, and I've been in that neighborhood since the 70s. It was a junior food when it started, but we do not need any more alcohol sales. We've got the racetrack that when it runs, we have all kinds of alcoholic problems with people driving crazy and thinking they're in the race themselves. But we have like I said, the Dollar General and BJ's, And I'm raising grandsons. One's 15, one's 16. They're starting to drive. We don't need to mess up our streets any worse. We've had so many accidents, just people coming out of BJ's grocery store, you know, alcohol related. But please don't let this happen in our neighborhood. I
Thank you
mean,
very much.
I appreciate it.
Anyone
Thank
else
you.
want to
Thank
speak?
you.
Mr. Chair, I believe Mr. Chair was up on that. But I declare the public hearing has been held as proper for the council in motion.
Move to suspend the rules.
Let's introduce yourself. Give me your name and.
Is
before
that
we-
Rafiq Khan?
Okay. You have any defense of yourself before we vote?
Seeing as how the community has a problem.
What's your name, and then speak into the mic for me.
My name is Martin Zito.
Okay, Martin.
But seeing as how the community has a problem with it, there's really no solutions we can give. Seeing how even the sheriff's opposed to it, and I know we spoke on the phone, you said you would go in favor of whichever side the sheriff's on.
Right.
So there's really not much we can do about it.
Yeah.
All right. I need a motion to suspend the rules.
Move to suspend the rules.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Move to deny.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is denied.
Motion denied.
Item
Next item.
Item 14, pursuant to Section 1153B1 Code of Alabama, authorization of demolition of unsafe structures at the listed locations.
Need a motion to uphold.
Mr. President, move to uphold.
All in favor, raise your hand.
That's the hotel.
Council, new hands. Unanimous.
All right. Okay.
Item
number 15.
Resolution declaring, authorizing, and assessing cost of abatement of public nuisances on various lots.
Need a motion to suspend the rules.
Move to suspend the rules.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Motion to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted.
Okay, I have something else in front of me from the fire department. The fire department want to hear this. Pass this out. Fire department want to make a.
I think Captain Mullum is going to address it.
You need to explain to me how we're going to handle this, but
They can't open back up until they come before the council, right?
No, sir, there has to be multiple within 1 year. This is just to assess them a fine, and y'all need to uphold the fine that the fire department is charging.
So on July 3rd, we were doing routine nightclub inspections. We inspected the Escape Tapas Grill on 109 Eastern Boulevard at approximately 1 over 10 hours. Conducting that inspection, we made contact with the manager and conducted an inspection. Looked to be like it was over, so we pulled everyone out of the nightclub to count them one by one. They have an occupant load of 99. They had a total of 154 people, which means there was 55 people over their established occupant load. So at that time, they were shut down for 16 hours. And according to our chart, pretty much with the ordinance it allows us $75 per person, which they get a $4,125 fine or administrative fee for being that many people over. Like I said, we take life safety, very seriously, and with them being that far over, that could definitely cause a problem inside of, any establishment. So that is what we found.
Is this their first time they've been over?
No, sir. This is actually their third time in 4 years. March 19th of 2019, they was found over 42 people. In February of 15 to 2020, they was found 243 people over. And as of this time, there was 55 people.
Well, they paid fines before.
Yes, sir, they had paid the fine before.
Councilman, what do you do? We need a motion to.
Is this the old, I had a question, which building exactly? Is this the old Dream, originally built as a Dreamland?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay.
All right, need a motion to adopt this fee.
Mr. President, move to suspend the rules.
Have motion to suspend the rules, all in favor, raise your hand.
What was the motion?
To suspend the rules?
You don't have to suspend the rules. On this one, you just need a motion to
Motion.
uphold the fee recommended by the Montgomery Fire Department.
Mr. President, motion to uphold the fees.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Mr. Mitchell? Abstain. 8 with 1 abstention.
All right.
And also,
Motion is upheld.
and I'll add this to it, if they don't pay the administrative fee within 90 days, they can come back before council and they will be, can revoke their business license.
Okay.
So,
Good deal. Thank
all
you.
right.
Okay, we have, nothing on your test? All right, I got public communication here.
Mr. Mitchell, are you going to?
Whatever we need to do now. Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
This council, I'm asking for reconsideration when it comes to the Citizen Review Board. We have set it in committee, and I want to either put it up or down at this point.
You need,
So,
you need to make a motion to recall it from the
yes,
committee.
I want to make a motion to recall.
Okay, all in favor, raise your hand. All opposed?
3.
All opposed, same sign.
Five. I'm missing one.
All abstentions?
Ms. Johnson, I don't have your vote.
What is this? I'm sorry.
She was,
This is the motion to
Oh, I did.
recall.
I voted for it.
You vote yes?
Yes.
Okay, so that's going to be 4 yeses and 5, so the motion to recall fails.
She abstained.
Yeah, I abstained. It was probably my hand you didn't see. I
No,
didn't
you
vote.
had yours up, because I wrote
Oh, okay.
your numbers down.
What you got me as?
As a yes vote, you want me to change it to an abstain?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Now, Mr.
Okay, so that's going to change it to 3, 5, and 1. It still fails.
Okay, Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
and I did this in good faith when we brought this before the council, and we had a public hearing for 2 months. We were some changes that we came out of the public hearing that we had Mr. Compton go ahead and make those changes on this ordinance. It's in committee. I didn't have the intent. When it went to committee, I thought we were going to go in committee in good faith to come out and work on this ordinance. This is something that the citizens of Montgomery came before for 2 months and talked about this Citizen Review Board, and it's in committee. The chairman of the board of the committee that it's in will not call a meeting to talk about it. I just want to get this out of committee and move it up or down, whether we fail or pass. The citizen has spoken. It's in the committee and it's just sitting in the committee. So we have the new ordinance with the changes that's being made. So I don't see what we'll be doing by sitting in a committee at this time.
Hey, Mr. President,
Yes,
just real
sir.
quick.
Go ahead.
And Mayor, I requested the middle of June. We got the information from the Internal Affairs Department about the complaints. I requested the disposition of, we had 74 complaints in 2022, 2 excessive forces, 1 was justified. In 2023, we've got 24 complaints, 2 excessive force, 1 justified. I sent an email to some of your staff requesting the disposition of those 74 and 24. I wanted to look at them and see what was what, and I have not gotten them and have not gotten a response on that. Sir? No, it didn't go to you. It went, and
We can provide you the information. I was unaware of the email.
Okay.
But we can provide the information. I mean, as much as we can, share with you.
And because that goes to, Mayor, where I'm at with this police review board is, I want to see the complaints and what we're actually looking at in internal affairs today. And I wanted to go from there.
I don't know how much detail we can share on that, but certainly we can put it in some, some broad categories.
Thank you, Mayor.
Sure.
Okay.
And I do have one set of contingencies that I just got the mayor's approval on for these. It's for District 8, $1,000 to Southeast Dixie Youth Baseball, $1,000 to Montgomery American Dixie Youth Baseball. And the mayor has
Okay.
approved these.
All right. Anybody else got?
I do, Mr. President.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't. I want to recall. Can I get the fire department to come back up here for these memorandum? Okay.
We need to vote on the contingencies first?
Yes, we need to vote on
Okay.
contingencies.
And then I would like them to come back up here.
Okay. All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Okay. All right, now that's Harper.
All right. Can you tell me what warranted the inspection on Extopus Grill?
We was doing routine nightclub inspections, which we do every 2 weeks on payday weekend. So pretty much that's what we do. We go around and do nightclub inspections.
And this was one of the ones right after this last weekend?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's recall that vote, Ms. Burlaylock.
You got to make a motion.
I make a motion to recall the vote on
Make
this
a motion to recall-
memorandum.
Recall. Let me get back to the item.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Wait just a minute.
Let me,
I'm making a recall simply because I don't want to,
You make a motion to reconsider the motion.
well, let me ask this question. How many businesses did you go to that night?
We had 5 that night.
5 nightclubs?
Yes, ma'am.
And this was the only one found out of compliance?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell us which clubs it were, or is that private? We can't know what clubs you went to that night?
I don't think we
Yes.
need, do we need to know?
yes, we do.
All right,
Yes.
just a moment.
Because, I'll tell you in a minute. Because we're going to do better than this.
Do y'all want to know, we're just doing the Sunday, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so the nightclubs that we did, of course, we did 5 for that night. You had Escape Topless Grill. You also had Level 2. You also had Deja Vu. You also had U-Bar and the Velvet Room.
Council, the reason I would like to recall this, I'm going to change my vote. We just had the R&B and Blues picnic this weekend. We just handled that fee, and it's still almost targeted. And so I want to change my vote to abstain.
Okay, you got to give a vote to motion.
Yeah,
to
we
reconsider.
just handled that, and all of a sudden, they're fined, and they're the only ones fined. I don't like how that feel and how that sound. They the same, the owner is one of the R&B and Blues. I just don't like that. We're not going to do that. I'm not going to be a part of that.
Okay, we got to have a vote on motion to reconsider at this point.
I would like a motion to reconsider.
All in favor, raise your hand.
I'm just changing my vote. I would like to change my vote.
No, we've got to give them a vote to reconsider before
All right,
we can even do
All in
another.
favor, reconsider, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Okay, now, back to the
Now.
motion on the,
Make a motion to uphold the fee.
Thank you.
all in favor, raise your hand. 2 abstentions.
It's going to be 7 with 2. Are y'all abstaining or voting no? 2 abstentions?
Abstaining.
Abstain?
I would like to vote a no, actually.
You want a no vote?
Yeah, I vote a no.
Okay. It's going to be 7 yeses, 1 no, and 1 abstain.
There you go, okay.
Thank you, thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Hey, Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
real quick, Mr. Mayor, are we going to be able to help with the officer's funeral that just passed, Carlos? Do we have funds set aside for
I
stuff
guess we
like
can
that?
always use discretionary funds.
Can we give, that was my question, can we give to the Central Alabama Community Foundation?
Let me interrupt a minute. Chief, isn't there benefits for him as an officer?
Mr. Mitchell was asking me.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes, sir.
So what we've learned in the past few days is that because of that officer's separation from the department, thus the city, there were no benefits. We've talked with the family. There was no burial benefits and no insurance. So we're working with the Fraternal Order of Police. We're working with the FBI, DOJ. That process is an 18-month process. And I've talked with the family as well earlier today. And there's also another fund that we put in for today, but we're not sure how that's going to go. All of these are just submissions. They have to be voted on by committees, so we're not sure how it's going to turn out. But that's what we've been able to locate to try to help the family get through what they're going through now.
Chief, do you have a price on the funeral? Is it?
I do not, but the family did start a GoFundMe. I believe it was put up today. So again, on our end, on the city's end, we're just trying to find outside resources to help the family.
Councilman Mitchell had mentioned it was around $11,000, and Mayor, if it's all right with you, I'd like if we could reopen the contingency funds, because Chief, y'all do have a fund set up similar to what the fire department has with Central Alabama Community Foundation, that we could actually run this money through to help those family members pay for their funeral, which I don't think this council would have a problem with doing at all.
You do have, they do have?
They
it
do,
set up?
yes. John Bowman started it many, many years ago, and that's where
Okay.
the idea came from.
You mind sharing that with the rest of the council, which fund it is? Ms. Brenda, you know offhand which fund that is? Could you share it with us?
We can give it to the Central Alabama Community Foundation.
Oh, okay, okay.
And then Burton can put it in the correct,
Okay.
into the correct fund.
Okay.
Chief, Mr. President, is that correct, Chief?
I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
I'll be waiting to see it as well, because I'm not familiar with that fund.
Because I think his funeral is Saturday, and I don't want to.
It's Monday.
And
Funeral is Monday.
And I want to make sure we putting it in that they can get it Monday. I want to make sure that we putting it in a organization that will, they don't have to decide, are they going to, fund the funeral. I just want to make sure we putting it in an organization.
Go ahead and do that, and I'll step out and make the phone call to Central Alabama Community. And then if maybe we can get with Betty and them to find out if they can speed the checks up.
You said 11,000.
Okay. All right.
We need-
Thank you.
No,
Chief.
thank you for that. And
We
as soon as
need-
we get the information, we'll do whatever we have to do on our end, but thank y'all for.
Share it with the council. We'll take care of
That's all.
it.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Chief.
Okay,
We need
very
to
good.
check with Ms. McCorvey too, because you remember we've got a 2-week shutdown on cutting checks. Is this going
That's
to?
July 10th?
Yeah, that's not yet, is it?
July, what day, Ms. McCorvey?
Well, hold on, please.
Is there a way that maybe we can?
The mayor said yes, we'll do it.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, is there a way we could do it in?
The mayor just said yes. So we'll do
We have
it.
to get the check cut pretty quick.
Well, we can get the check cut pretty quickly. We
Okay.
just need to make sure that all of the approvals are in place.
If we tell you by Monday, if we tell you by Friday, we can get the check cut.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll get it all worked out. Yeah,
I
Friday.
sent an email today.
Okay. Email. Okay, that's public communication time.
Are you
Hold on,
aware-
Chuck.